I'm Holly Karibo, and the title of the book for this year is Rehab on the Range: Addiction and Incarceration in the American West. There's a couple of takeaways I think are important. One of them is resituating Western U.S. states and borderland states more directly in our debates over not just drug policy, but drug treatment. Today we associate the border, I think, with drug trafficking and those conversations. It's highly politicized. But in fact, there's been sort of a much longer, deeper rooted history that has fallen out of a lot of the studies about addiction treatment. So kind of resituating the region into that national conversation is important. And then the other part of it, and I think takeaway, is that we've been grappling with the question about addiction and its relationship with imprisonment for well over a century. And so a lot of the debates we're having today, I think, have a lot of resonance. This book, the conversations they were having, in the 1920s, 1940s, 1960s, sadly, sound really familiar. And so I think by bringing those voices back in, maybe will save us some of the conversations or enrich the conversations that we're having today about, whether it's opioid crisis, fentanyl, all sorts of sort of addiction and mass incarceration problems. So it's kind of those two angles I think were the most important parts for me. Yeah, it's like I said, especially today when we're so used to short sound bites, right? Tweets or actually I don't know what they call them now, but short misinformation. All of these conversations around how do you understand what's going on in the world? Where do you get evidence? How do you understand this? I think even though long form writing seems like an older form in some ways or less digestible, I think it's super important to continue to really look at nuances in debates, nuances in social problems. All of the conversations that we're having, I think, could really use a lot more historical context to help us understand it. And so for me, publishing, I love writing, which is for me personally part of it, but I think more importantly is, telling the histories. For example, I write about the Fort Worth narcotic farm, and even people in sort of North Texas, most people in the region haven't even heard of it or don't have a memory of the history of this major institution that shaped national addiction treatment for, half a century. So I think bringing those stories back in through publishing and writing is really critical if we're going to have any hope of addressing some of the major social problems that we continue to have. Yeah, congratulations. It's a long haul, I know, and it takes not just personal dedication, it takes so much support and institutional support. So thank you, OSU, for some of the funding and just support of my colleagues, but which one of them is here today with his book, which is really exciting. But congratulations is all, and well done, and I look forward to seeing, so much of the research that's coming out from OSU.